You've lived through decades of storms and sunrises. You've weathered heartbreak, celebrated milestones, and carried the quiet strength that only time can give. And maybe lately, in those quiet moments, you've found yourself wondering, am I truly happy? Or have I just been busy surviving? If that question has been sitting quietly in your heart, you're not alone. This video isn't here to judge. It's not another checklist of what you should be doing. Instead, it's a gentle reflection, a mirror held up to your spirit, showing you the signs that happiness might already be living inside you. Because the happiest women I've ever known, they don't chase happiness like it's a finish line. They simply move through life with a kind of quiet joy, the kind that grows from within, over time. So today, we're going to walk through 5 simple but powerful signs that tend to show up in the happiest women. Some of them might surprise you. Some might already live in you. And all of them are worth celebrating. Sign number 1. She doesn't chase peace. She carries it. Some women spend their lives chasing peace, like it's something waiting for them on a mountaintop or hidden in a perfect moment. But the happiest women? They don't chase it. They carry it. Softly, quietly, everywhere they go. This kind of peace isn't loud. It doesn't announce itself. It's not about having a spotless house, a perfect marriage, or the approval of everyone around you. No, it's deeper than that. It's the kind of peace that whispers, "I've made it through enough storms to trust the sky again." You see it in how she reacts when things go wrong. When the coffee spills, when the grandkids are loud, when her day takes a turn she didn't plan. She doesn't panic or raise her voice. Instead, she exhales. She adjusts. She smiles. Not because everything is perfect, but because she's okay, even if everything else isn't. A woman once stood in a long line at the post office. People were sighing loudly, tapping their feet, complaining under their breath. But this woman, let's call her Miss Serenity, simply stood there, humming a tune. When her package was delayed, she smiled and said, "Well, maybe it needed a little more adventure." That's peace. It's not passiveness. It's not giving up. It's choosing calm when chaos tries to take over. And you know what's interesting? People notice. They start to feel calmer around her. Her peace is contagious. It doesn't demand attention. It invites others to breathe easier, to soften. It's not that she's never frustrated. She is. She's human. But she knows how to return to her center. She knows that raising her voice won't make the line go faster, and that some things in life, like traffic, aging, or change, are simply out of her control. So instead of resisting life, she flows with it. And here's the beautiful part. Peace doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you've learned how to care without letting it cost your soul. Maybe you know a woman like this. Or maybe, just maybe, you're becoming her. So I want to ask you something. Not to test you, just to help you reflect. Do people feel more grounded after being around you? And do you feel more grounded after just a moment of silence? If the answer is yes, even sometimes, then you're already carrying something beautiful inside you. Let's move on to the next sign. Sign number 2. She laughs freely, even when alone. There's something beautiful, and honestly, a little magical, about a woman who still laughs when no one's watching. You might hear her chuckle in the kitchen when she drops a spoon, and it clatters like a tiny cymbal concert, or see her smile at a squirrel doing something ridiculous in the backyard. And every now and then, she'll laugh at her own jokes, not because they're all that clever, but because joy lives in her, not just around her. This kind of woman? She doesn't wait for company to be entertained. She is the company. We call her Giggles Galore, not because she's loud or over the top, but because her joy bubbles up in everyday moments. It's unfiltered, unforced, and wonderfully contagious. One morning, she was making pancakes, her favorite breakfast. In the middle of flipping one, she sneezed, lost her balance a bit, and the pancake flew straight into the air and landed perfectly across her slipper. Most people would groan or curse. She burst out laughing. Real, belly-shaking laughter. Her daughter called from the other room. "What happened?" She replied between giggles, "Apparently I'm feeding my feet now." That's joy. And here's the thing. Her life isn't perfect. She's had loss. She's had illness. She's had lonely holidays and quiet birthdays. But she made a choice, not to wait for joy to arrive, but to let it live with her. Every day, she finds it in sitcoms from the 1980s that still make her laugh. In the way her dog's ears perk when he hears the treat jar. In the dance her curtains do when the breeze comes through the window. This isn't forced positivity. It's not pretending everything's fine when it's not. It's a kind of joy that's deeper. One that says, "I've cried enough. I've earned this laugh." When you laugh freely, especially when you're alone, it shows something powerful. You enjoy your own company. You're not afraid of silence. You're not dependent on others to fill the air with noise or approval. You've become someone who knows how to make yourself feel good, without a performance, without an audience. And guess what? That kind of happiness is unshakable, because it doesn't rely on anyone else showing up. It lives inside you, waiting to rise with the smallest of sparks. So, here's a little something for you to reflect on. When was the last time you laughed, and no one else was there to hear it? If that's been a while, don't worry. Joy is patient. It's waiting for you. Maybe in your next morning coffee. Maybe in a silly memory that pops into your head. Maybe in a pancake that goes rogue. Let it in. Because one of the clearest signs of a truly happy woman is not how often she laughs in public, but how freely she laughs when she thinks no one's listening. Let's keep going. Sign number 3. She feels whole without needing to be completed. Some women spend years, even decades, waiting for someone to make them feel whole. They believe the right partner, the right job, the right weight, or even the right praise will finally make them complete. But the happiest women? They've learned that they were never missing a piece in the first place. They've stopped looking for someone to finish their puzzle. Because one day, they realized they were already the picture. We call this kind of woman the solo queen, not because she's alone, but because she stands on her own, with grace, with dignity, with confidence that comes from within. Let me share a story. She spent most of her life caring for others, raising children, supporting a spouse, checking on aging parents, being the dependable one in every circle. Her time was never her own. Her space was always shared. And then, one day, she found herself alone. Not lonely. Just alone. And it scared her at first. That silence, that stillness. But as the days passed, something shifted. She didn't rush to fill the silence with noise. She didn't panic and fill her calendar just to feel useful. Instead, she made tea. She sat by the window. She picked up a book she hadn't touched in years. She began, for the first time in a long time, to listen to her own voice. She took herself out to lunch, ordered her favorite dish, didn't scroll on her phone, didn't pretend to be waiting for anyone. She just enjoyed the company of the woman sitting across from her, herself. That's not loneliness. That's wholeness. The solo queen doesn't need someone else to validate her worth. She knows her value is not tied to her relationship status, her social calendar, or the number of texts she receives in a day. She doesn't fear being alone in a room. In fact, she often finds clarity there. Peace, even joy. It's not that she doesn't appreciate connection. She does. But she also knows this. No one else can give her the kind of fulfillment she's already found within herself. And here's the secret that surprises people. The happier and more whole she becomes on her own, the richer her relationships become. Because she no longer needs anyone to complete her. She simply invites people to walk with her. She doesn't cling. She doesn't chase. She simply is, fully, gracefully, and confidently herself. So now, let me ask you something. If you had a whole weekend to yourself, no obligations, no visitors, no plans, how would you spend it to feel full, not just occupied? Would you read a book by the fire? Take yourself to the museum? Try a new recipe just because it brings you joy? Or maybe, do absolutely nothing and love every second of it? However you'd spend it, the question is simple. Can you enjoy your own company? Because the happiest women don't just survive solitude. They flourish in it. They make it sacred. They turn it into a sanctuary, not a sentence. And if you're already there, or even just moving toward it, that, my friend, is something truly beautiful. Let's keep going. Sign number 4. She gives without keeping score. Some people give so that they can get something back, attention, praise, gratitude. But the happiest women? They give because giving fills them. Their kindness doesn't come with a receipt. Their generosity doesn't have strings attached. They've learned that the joy of giving is in the act itself, not in the outcome. We call her the giving heart. She's the kind of woman who sends handwritten birthday cards, even to people who might forget hers. She bakes cookies not for applause, but because she knows someone nearby had a rough week. She offers help before being asked, not because she wants to be seen as a savior, but because she genuinely cares. Let me tell you a story. There was a woman who stopped at a coffee shop one rainy morning. She ordered her usual, black coffee, no sugar, and noticed a young man behind her, digging nervously through his pockets. His card kept getting declined. People behind him started shifting impatiently. The giving heart looked at the barista and said quietly, "Add his to mine." The man looked stunned. "You don't have to," he said. She smiled gently. "Someone once did it for me when I needed it. Now it's my turn." She didn't post about it. She didn't tell the story to anyone else that day, because the moment wasn't about her. It was about kindness being passed forward, quietly, like a hand reaching across time. That's the beauty of the giving heart. Her kindness is steady, not loud. It's woven into her daily life, in the way she checks on her neighbors, in how she calls her friend who just lost a spouse, in how she picks up a piece of trash at the park, because someone has to care enough. She doesn't expect thank you notes. She doesn't expect others to notice. She simply gives, because it's who she is. And here's the truth. This kind of giving isn't about wealth or time or grand gestures. It's about presence, a kind word, a listening ear, a smile that says, "I see you and you matter." Sometimes the giving heart gives her time, sometimes her wisdom, sometimes her laughter, sometimes just her quiet presence beside someone who doesn't know how to ask for help. And she never keeps score. Why? Because giving isn't a transaction. It's a gift of the spirit. And her spirit? It's full. So now I want to ask you, what's one small gift you could give someone today, expecting absolutely nothing in return? Could it be a message to someone you haven't spoken to in a while? A compliment to a stranger? A prayer for someone you know is struggling? The happiest women don't wait for special occasions to give. They make giving a daily rhythm, a habit of the heart, a way of saying, "I have enough, and I want to share it." And every time they give without asking, without tracking, without expectation, they make the world just a little bit softer. Let's continue. Sign number 5. She trusts the timing of her life. In a world that tells women they're always running out of time, to marry, to succeed, to look young, to stay relevant, the happiest women learn to step off that hamster wheel. They trust that their lives unfold exactly as they're meant to. They've stopped rushing. They've stopped comparing. They've stopped asking, what if I'm too late? And instead whisper, maybe now is just right. We call her the late bloomer, not because she's behind, but because she blooms in her own season. Let me share a story. This woman spent most of her life raising children and working behind the scenes. She had dreams once, writing, painting, traveling. But life got busy, and her dreams took a back seat. Then one day, at 67 years old, she picked up a paintbrush again. Tentative at first, just swirls of color on old newspaper. But something opened. A memory, a spark, a sense of, yes, this was always mine. By 70, she had her own little corner at the local farmer's market, selling watercolor cards. By 72, she was teaching a weekly art class at the community center. Someone once asked, why now? She smiled and said, because I'm finally quiet enough inside to hear what I want. That's the power of timing. Late bloomers are not afraid to start something new at 60, 70, or even 80. They know that society's deadlines are mostly made up, that some things can only be discovered with time, experience, and the wisdom that comes from living a full life. They don't panic when they're not where others are. They've learned to trust. Trust the slow seasons. Trust the setbacks. Trust the gentle unfolding of their path. It's not that they never feel doubt. Of course they do. But they don't let it lead. They've learned to listen for something deeper. That small, quiet voice inside that says, not yet, or now is the moment. And here's the most beautiful part. They don't try to catch up. They don't try to prove themselves. They just show up as they are with what they have and begin. Their stories remind us all that life isn't a race, it's a rhythm. And your rhythm? It's unique to you. So let me ask you this. What's something you've been putting off? Not because it's too late, but because it just hasn't felt like the right time. Maybe it's writing a memoir, starting a small business, taking a class, traveling somewhere new, or maybe it's finally forgiving someone or yourself. Whatever it is, let this be a quiet nudge, a reminder that the door isn't closed, that you don't need permission to bloom, just patience and the courage to begin. The happiest women trust that every season has purpose, and that blooming late is still blooming. Let's take a moment to reflect together. So, you've just taken a quiet walk through 5 signs of truly happy women. Maybe one of them felt like home. Maybe another felt like a whisper of who you want to become. Or maybe you saw pieces of yourself in each one. Take a moment. Breathe. Let it all sink in. Let's look back together. Did you see yourself in Miss Serenity, the woman who carries peace into every room, like a gentle breeze? Or maybe it was Giggles Galore, the one who finds laughter in burnt toast, crooked photos, and the sound of her own snort? Perhaps the solo queen stood out, the woman who's learned to enjoy her own company and who knows that she is not missing anything. She is the thing. Maybe the giving heart reminded you of your quiet generosity, the way you pour love into the world without ever asking for a receipt. Or maybe, just maybe, you felt the courage of the late bloomer, the woman who trusts that her moment is not behind her, but still ahead. Now, here's my question for you. Which one spoke the loudest to you? Which one felt like a mirror or a map? I'd love to know. Share your thoughts in the comments, if you feel comfortable, or write it down for yourself. Keep it in your journal. Whisper it into a prayer. You're not alone in your journey. Every time you recognize yourself in one of these signs, you're not just surviving, you're living with intention, with depth, with grace. And if you didn't see yourself in any of them yet, that's okay too. You're not behind, you're just beginning. Let's talk about how you can keep that light glowing, gently, every day. How to keep the light on. Growing your inner happiness. So maybe you saw yourself in one of the signs. Or maybe you saw the woman you hope to become. Either way, knowing is only the beginning. The question now becomes, how do you keep that quiet light glowing? How do you carry your joy gently, day after day, even through life's harder chapters? Happiness isn't a destination. It's a practice, a rhythm, a choice you keep making, especially when things aren't perfect. Think of happiness like a garden inside you. You don't need fancy tools or a perfect plot of land. You just need patience, consistency, and a little sunlight every day. Here are 5 gentle ways you can grow what's good inside you, no matter your age, your past, or your current season. 1. Practice quiet moments. Start your day with silence, even just 3 minutes. Before the phone, before the noise, before the world starts asking things from you. Take that moment for yourself. Sit by the window. Watch the light change. Breathe in and say to yourself, I'm here, I am enough. Today is a new beginning. It doesn't need to be spiritual or complicated. Just be present, be still, and let that stillness become your strength. 2. Write down what's good. Each night before bed, write down 3 small things that made you smile. It could be your favorite tea, a funny moment from a grandchild, a memory that suddenly came back and warmed your heart. You're not writing a novel, just a list, a whisper of gratitude. Why does this matter? Because your brain is wired to remember the hard things. You have to teach it to also hold on to the soft ones. The more you practice noticing the good, the more good you begin to see. 3. Talk to yourself like someone you love. You've spent years encouraging others, children, partners, friends, even strangers. Now it's time to speak that same kindness over yourself. If you make a mistake, don't scold. If you feel tired, don't call yourself lazy. If your body changes, don't criticize. Thank it for carrying you all these years. Every time you choose a gentle word over a harsh one, you water your own roots. 4. Keep your mind curious, not just busy. You're never too old to learn something new, and you're never too wise to be surprised. Read books that stretch your mind. Listen to stories that make you laugh or think or cry. Try a new recipe, a new walking path, a new way to pray. It doesn't have to be productive. It just has to be alive. Curiosity is a quiet form of hope, and hope is fuel for the soul. 5. Let go often and on purpose. Let go of guilt, of timelines, of the voice that says you should have done more by now. Let go of comparing your life to someone else's highlight reel. Let go of trying to control what you never had control over to begin with. Letting go isn't giving up. It's making space for peace, for growth, for the joy that can only come when your hands are open. You can't receive what life still wants to give you if you're clenching your fists around what's already gone. And here's the final reminder. You don't need to fix your whole life to feel happy. You just need to water one good thing today, one good habit, one kind thought, one soft breath of grace. That's how you keep the light on. Now let me ask you gently, what's one small thing you're willing to nurture in yourself this week? Is it silence, gratitude, forgiveness, laughter? Whatever it is, let it be yours. Let it grow slowly, and know that it's enough. Because happiness, real happiness, is never loud. It's steady, and it begins within. You don't need the perfect life to feel deeply at peace. You don't have to smile all the time to be truly joyful. You don't have to do everything right to be enough. The happiest women I've ever known didn't get there by accident. They got there by becoming, little by little, day by day. They carried peace, not because life was easy, but because they stopped fighting every wave. They laughed, not because nothing hurt, but because they refused to let the pain have the final word. They stood strong alone, not because they never needed anyone, but because they finally knew how to be their own companion. They gave, not from overflow, but from a place of trust that giving would never leave them empty. And they trusted the timing, not because it always made sense, but because they learned to dance to their own rhythm. Maybe you are already her. Maybe you're still becoming her. Either way, you are exactly where you need to be. So take a deep breath. Let that quiet wisdom settle in your bones. And remember, the happiest women aren't those who had the easiest lives, but those who learned to bloom again and again, right where they were planted. Thank you for sharing this time with me. Take care of your joy. You've earned it.